What's up, cool people? I'm Matt Conroy. Welcome back to another top 10 video. This time around, I've been focusing on intros to songs somewhat recently, and this time around I'm going to be focusing specifically on bass introductions to songs. As always, same rules apply, so only one entry per band / artist, and got to be from my personal music collection because I can't consider everything. So, let's just get right on into it with my top 10 favorite bass intros.
Desperate for changing.
Okay, so at number 10, we have Hanging by a Moment from Lifehouse, which is probably the best known song from Lifehouse, period. Certainly one of the top 3. In terms of this list, the way that the bass comes in, or at least I believe it's bass. You know what? Pause for a second. Apologies in advance if any of this is an actual bass and I've mistaken just a low-pitched guitar for bass, but still, most of these sound like they at least could be bass as the focal point. Anyway, so back to Hanging by a Moment. This one, it just like, if there's anything recognizable from Lifehouse, especially song introductions, it's probably this one. Because, there might be another song or two that could be debated are better known from them. Like, what's that one really lovey song called? Isn't it like You and Me? But like the intro, not as many people know the song by the intro as this song. So anyway, also, let's be honest, there's a little bit of nostalgia playing into it for me. So yeah, anyway, not really too much else to say. It's just really recognizable, I guess. Okay, so at number 9, I have Blood to Bleed from Rise Against, and this one, what stands out about it is that it, like, kind of harmonizes a little bit almost. Like, I don't know if it's, I would guess it's actual bass harmonizing with low-pitched guitar, or perhaps vice versa, but just the combination of those, I thought made it stand out a little bit. And honestly, bass intros are a little harder to come by than some of the other instruments sometimes. Just any segment of a song focusing on bass can be a little harder to come by than some of the other instruments that you would normally get in a rock band. So, just having a harmonizing part with the bass as a focal point right off the bat kind of makes this song stand out by sheer nature of the rarity of bass focal points in music. Alright, so moving on to number 8, we have the song Simply from Pillar. Pillar is a lot better known for their song Frontline, but this is from the same album, and it's this is probably one of the longer bass intros to a song, at least in my own personal collection. But yeah, it's, the fact that it hangs on that bass so significantly for so long, I guess, is kind of what makes this one stand out. Not really too much else to say about it. I mean, the song as a whole is good, but, we're focused on the intro here. So, gotta just point out stuff about that and talk not so much on other aspects of the song. Alright, so at number 7, I'm going to mention a band that most people probably don't know. I think I mentioned it on my guitar intros list, though. The Last Remark and their song Rapture. And this, if you listen to the clip, clearly bass standing out right from the get-go. This one, I think, is a bit faster than some of the prior entries on this list. And, that alone gets it, a little bit more of a bump on this list for me. The one major strike that I have against, putting this song higher on the list is that after that initial part where it's like only the bass, you kind of lose track of it in the other instruments coming in before the verses. So, that's real common in music, though. So, I can't judge this song or the bass or / lack thereof in the intro too harshly for, just something as simple as that. And especially something as common as that. Alright, so then at number 6, I'm going to talk about the song The Great Pandemonium from Kamelot. Not necessarily the best known band, but definitely better known than The Last Remark probably is. Kamelot's more of a prog metal band, sort of. Prog meaning progressive, for those of you who don't know. But this song is probably one of their closest to normal songs, really. But, there's just a bit before all the other instruments kick in this intro where you can really hear the bass specifically. The bass is almost actually what sort of comes in first, besides some sort of vocal, I don't want to call it a chant, but there's a little bit of vocal, but then bass comes in and slowly builds up, even just purely from a volume standpoint. And then once that hits its peak, everything else crashes in. And this also sounds like it's got some quick, I'm going to use the Guitar Hero Rock Band terminology. I don't know if that's actually the official learning guitar term, but I guess it is. When it comes to hammer-ons and pull-offs, it sounds like it's got some of that going on in here because of the quick note changes in some cases. So, it's slightly more skilled thing going on there. Some of the other songs might have had that going on too, but it's more noticeable in this intro, I'd say. So anyway, yeah, that's all I've got to say about this one and the intro specifically. Okay, so at number 5, I have the song My Friend of Misery from Metallica. And it's really no surprise there's a Metallica song in here. It was just a matter of which song I was going to use. And in terms of bass intros, I think this one is certainly near the top. Mostly because the bass itself is very audible for a long time. It takes like multiple, I mean, it's over a minute for sure, maybe even longer than that, just where you can hear the bass and then like everything else kind of builds around it. The bass just kind of keeps grooving along with the same tune, but you know, it again lays the bass down for everything else to sort of build around it. So even though the actual bass playing itself isn't as, you know, complicated or dynamic as some of the other entries on this list, the fact that it's A, very audible for a long time, and B, is, you know, the focal point that other stuff builds around, that's what gets it on this list and where it is ranked on this list. Alright, at number 4, we have The Wicked End from Avenged Sevenfold, and it's like complete opposite of the previous entry in a way. In a couple of ways, really. The bass section where you can hear the bass in particular is like really short compared to My Friend of Misery. But it's like really, really fast as well. Which My Friend of Misery was not so fast. So again, speed just, I don't know, adds a couple more points in my mind for... unless it was literally the same thing just being strummed over and over again, speed has to demonstrate some slight semblance of extra skill, which is why extra speed in instrumentation often gets more points for me. And this is not just strumming the same thing. No, it's like jumping around a little bit. If you're not even sure what's going on with the bass at the very beginning of it, the guitar part that comes in, like, directly mimics the bass for a couple of stanzas, I'm guessing. But, yeah, so if you're not sure about the sound of it, just listen to the guitar there, and then go back, and at the very beginning, you kind of hear the bass on its own doing that same thing. So, yeah, anyway. Moving on to the next one. Okay, so, at number 3, we have I'm So Sick from Flyleaf, and, man, if there was, you know, any of these that was a purely bass intro, I mean, bass is literally all that you hear before the vocals come in, and then once the vocal part of the introduction is done, it's just, boom, everything crashes in together, and it's, man. But just the super low end with like heavy distortion kind of stuff is what has this kind of set apart. It's, I guess the bass sound is very similar to that of Rapture, but this one's a little more iconic. I mean, out of all the songs from Flyleaf, this is probably top 3. I know I say that for a number of things, but I mean, yeah. This one, I think, made it to, must have made it to Rock Band at some point, because I remember playing along with that. So, yeah. But just the way the bass specifically kind of gives it gives you the tone of the song almost right off the bat. It's overall an angry song, and I think the bass on its own in the intro kind of helps set the tone for that in a way. Okay, so at number 2, I have There and Back Again from Daughtry, which it's not the most complicated on this list. It's, a little on the fast side for bass, but not like super duper or so. But, it comes in as like the lone instrument right at the start, and then basically just other stuff comes in with it. Guitar kind of mimics it again shortly thereafter. This one, the only reason this is at a higher spot on the list than The Wicked End or some of the other entries is because I feel like it has a better groove to it. Like, it's more what you would think of when trying to think of, bass introductions to a song. I don't know how else to describe that. So, yeah, anyway. Not really too much else to say about that. So, before I get to number 1, I should probably toss in my honorable mentions here. As usual, won't really be explaining these. I'll just let you listen to the clips and know that they were close to making the top 10, but not quite there.
From the top.
Yeah, I trust in you.
1, 2, ready, play.
Okay, so at number 1, I decided on the song Natural Life from Breaking Benjamin, and I guess in a way it has a similar vibe to My Friend of Misery from Metallica because of how it's got the bass as the instrument that kind of lays the groundwork for the other instruments to come in. But I think one of the big differences is that, the bass in this case is like, I don't want to say it's more varied. There's a similar variance in it. But anyway, after all the other instruments come in, I mean, it's mostly just the bass and then the drums, I think, that build around it. Not too much guitar, really, until it kind of hits you with that big, like, punch moment to where everything crashes in, and then, you know, there's really not much time between that big crash and getting into the verses, though. There's a lot more time spent on the bass and, you know, building around that. Not quite as long as My Friend of Misery, or as much time spent on that aspect of it, but really similar. And again, for that bigger, almost punch, as I like to call it, going into the song that gets me really, like, rocking with it, you know, that's really, I guess, what I would point to as why I have this as the number one entry on my list. I mean, a lot of this honestly could go a few spots one way or the other. This isn't even necessarily so much focused on a ranking of, oh, this song has so much of a better introduction than the others. It's more of just here's stuff that I like, and here's how at this particular moment I decided to rank them because of XYZ. Or, you know, here's just what I like about them. The order's not even that crucial. Anyway, yeah, that's gonna have to do it for now. As I said before, this is limited by my own personal music collection, so if there's a song that is missing that you feel like should be on this list, leave a comment down below. Or if you have thoughts for other top 10s or other video ideas or whatever, leave those down in the comments too. And of course, as always, like, share, subscribe, click the bell, all that good stuff to follow the channel and interact and keep up with what I'm doing. And feel free to look down in the description and find my other social media pages to follow those as well. Yeah, that's pretty much all you need to know to keep up with what I'm doing here and interact. So, that's going to do it for now. I hope you're all doing well. Hopefully I'll see you for the next video. But until then, stay cool, people.